The world is in trouble, from people, waste, and machines which just seem to double, and yet there's terrors still yet unseen that makes the poor animals seem not too keen. You see, with plenty of places for people to go, where does that leave the poor endangered creatures we know? Their homes are destroyed, their lives are in peril. Perhaps the solution lies somewhere more sterile. For it's hard to get these animals to behave, even though with their help they'd be easier to save. However, can we extract the genes that we need? The answer, it seems, is no simple deed. So someone once thought, since the animals won't mate, to grow our own eggs so that it's never too late, to ensure that we keep their DNA alive and help these poor animals continue to survive. So here comes our hero, a handsome young devil with lab skills of 0, surrounded by what's-it, doodads, and follicle dishes, armed with little more than wit and some wishes. The hospital sits at the top of the hill. Its offices, storage, and labs sure do fit the bill. Just take the door on the left, whatever you do, for just across the hall, they're still playing with poo. He enters the lab, still unsure of his plan. Whatever can I do? I'm but only one man. Here's some ovaries, says the boss. Let's get started right here. A lovely doctor named Nooch with seemingly nothing to fear. At least that's what she thought before meeting our hero. Remember now, his lab skills are 0. Frustrations aside, it worked out for the best. With laughter in tow, they began the conquest. A scalpel, a needle, and scissors to boot. The laboratory drawer is a fun thing to loot. He's armed to the brink and ready to work. Her head hangs low, wondering what to do with this dork. First come the ovaries, all alone in their bag, obtained from the vet hospital with no time to lag. The media's made, the station is sterile. Our hope is extraction to make these animals more virile. Pop, pop goes the follicles, the little cells that we're after, and yet the only thing heard in lab is the soothing sound of laughter. Don't you worry at all, it even happens to me, says Nooch, retrieving that much-needed feeling of glee. Our hero overcomes and finally isolates a follicle, but why must this process be so unbelievably diabolical? His eyes begin to cross, his hands start to shake, his head is filled with dreams of sleep, beer, and cake. Desires aside, he powers through the unease. He isolates several more, those fatal first few were only a tease. Let's get ready to culture, Nooch says, the lab full of smiles. So he rounds up some chemicals, all labeled in vials. And here comes his work for this fun-filled semester, for he wants to learn which culture style makes the follicle grow faster. Whether in alginate or on an agarose block, there is still lots to do, with little left on the clock. So ready with follicles, he learns new techniques, such as preparing the 0.5% alginate, making sure there's no leaks, and carefully, with his trusty pipette in hand, he drops those little cells into their new calcium chloride homeland. This encapsulates the follicles, making them feel safe and sound, and allows them to grow bigger, not flattened, but round. For they sit in their media soaking up all their food, which consists of nutrients and hormones sure to put them in a good mood. And now on to the agarose, a block so pretty and pink. Could this be the source of the follicle's growth missing link? The block, however, does not let them blossom, for it keeps the cell flat, feeding it nutrients from the bottom. So there they must sit for the next 2-week period, to contemplate growth and other things so myriad. For anything can contaminate, their lives are so short. Our wish is that the follicle's oocyte chooses not to abort. Complete at last, the 2 weeks are up. Our hope is an oocyte from the cute little pup. So we measure the follicles to determine how long and wide, before breaking them apart to put the oocyte in paraformaldehyde. This kills the poor things and allows them to be stained, but finding them is the trouble, a lab tech complained. So under ultraviolet, a microscope so full of power, this search began, for those oocytes can't cower. And there it is, above the microscope he hovers. The granulosa cells are there, the oocyte it covers. The goal was a nucleus full of data and genetics, but in the end there was none, not even for fanatics. For those oocytes are weak, brittle, and small, and as quick as they come, the faster they fall. For they should just advance and turn into an egg, but don't hold your breath, and please, don't you beg. So more research is needed in this fascinating field to get to those oocytes and the eggs they should yield. But here is our hero, full of experience and knowledge, to carry on his journey and his wish to finally finish college. But never will he forget the time he had with the gamete, and all of the people that he was lucky enough to meet. For with results so great, he would be willing to mine even more follicles, especially when you get treated to a nice glass of wine.